gone up. Stream it as well. Well, alright. Why aren't we streaming? Okay. Well, looks like everything's going now. Welcome to Get the News Straight. I'm your host, Glenn Sutphin, and this is my co-host, Chris Dorsey. And tonight, we're going to finish up what happened with Chris when they kidnapped him off the street. Basically, NDAA'd him right off the street and threw him in jail for what we're going to cover tonight. And, yeah. So I'll let Chris...
Yeah, thanks, Glenn. As Glenn was saying before, for those of you who don't know what happened to me in June, where I was abducted off the street by Richmond police and agents of the Department of Homeland Security. I was disarmed. I had my my camera and my gun confiscated. Basically, what started this whole incident was the fact that I was filming Richmond Fire Department employees using city equipment inside the fire station garage, and they were doing maintenance work on their personal vehicles, and I filmed them, and then I attempted to file a complaint with them. Now, this was all on video camera, and they called the police because I was filming them from the public sidewalk. They had left the fire station property. They were making threats towards me, and basically whatever they were doing, they accused me of. I had video evidence of all of this. A maniac named Fred Bates from the Richmond Police Department showed up in his canine unit with his canine slave, German Shepherd canine slave, barking in the back as I'm walking my dog, and a woman who is unnamed at this point but is on video, who lives on 48th Street, I think it's 48th Street or 49th Street, it's on the video, came up and is bothering me as I'm getting ready to walk away from the scene. Fred Bates pulls up. I walk on the, down the sidewalk on my normal route home. I am stalked by Fred Bates, and I'm filming the whole time, telling him to leave me alone, that he doesn't have any jurisdiction over me. I keep telling him to call his superiors, and I name them by name: Durham, Steve Drew, Captain William Smith. I name additional folks. He is coming at me with his hand on his gun, and then he tackles me in front of eyewitnesses. I'm still holding on to my dog Max. My camera is knocked out of my hand, and as he is assaulting me, slamming my head into the ground and sticking his knees and elbows in my back and throwing me around. Oh, eyewitness is filming this. Then an agent of the Department of Homeland Security comes up along with 6 other Richmond police officers. I'm thrown in jail, held without bond. After my on trumped up charges of disorderly conduct and obstruction of justice, yeah. Which those ended up thrown out at the end of the day. We'll get to that, but. I was thrown into a paddy wagon as my girlfriend Amanda shows up and films the last part. She's like, "What has he done wrong?" They wouldn't tell her anything. Thank God my dog was handed over to her. They followed her. The police followed and intimidated her after that. The police were sending foul pictures to her phone number through having access to her phone number, because I yelled out her phone number in the video, which was confiscated by the police. So the police were sending foul, what they call dick pics to my girlfriend. The fire department, I think, had something to do with this as well. They were both the fire department and the police department have been following her and other acquaintances and loved ones of mine around.
Me too.
After this has happened. Been following me around after this has happened. So we'll go on with the story. I go to jail. I have my rights violated. I'm tortured, as everyone who goes to jail is. I was injured. I had to go to the hospital because I was injured by Fred Bates. So we'll fast forward to when I get out. I made several media appearances. I talked to lawyers who didn't do shit to help me. And that's, as usual, Thomas Roberts, who works with the police. Jonathan Arthur, I like him. He's an all right guy. But he already has told me that the system is too corrupt for you to get any justice, Chris Dorsey. Chris, the system is too corrupt for justice to be served. Now, this is how he gets paid money. I know that that's true. The system is too corrupt for there to be any justice. Jonathan Arthur, he's an all right guy, but he's a lawyer, so he's like a good cop.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
and he just perpetuates this criminal system, and it's never going to improve until people like us, and that's the regular people who aren't in some sort of secret society like the Bar Association or a criminal gang like the police or an elected official or somebody who's wealthy and benefiting from the current unconstitutional and illegal system. So anyways, I talked to the lawyers, and went on media outlets, and the next step was getting back the camera, and I was advised by a lawyer named Jonathan Arthur to go with, because they all know my finances, and they know how much they charge an hour. It's a money game with Thomas Roberts law firm and all the law firms for that matter.
Every
it's not just every lawyer is. They're playing a money game. They're playing in a game system. They become wealthy from a criminal enterprise, so they are low-level extortion artists. So you're an all right guy, Jonathan Arthur, but you're a low-level extortion artist. And same with all the so-called civil rights bar association lawyers. Or those who have been lawyers, or those who are benefiting from this criminal so-called judicial system. So we move forward, and I get a public defender because I had already ordered them to let me go, say I'm non-assumpsit, say I haven't done anything wrong, I'm a political prisoner. That didn't do me any good because I was stuck into my jail cell after my bail was paid. It took me, how long did it take to process me out of there?
I think we were there almost 6 hours. If I'm not mistaken, it was a long time.
I didn't get out until it was like 6:45. I thought it was longer than that. I thought it was like 7 or 8 hours. But anyways,
it might have been, I don't know. It was
after
and this was after we paid the ransom.
After the ransom was paid, I was held and I was put back in a cell that was next to somebody who had taken their fecal matter and spread it all over the cell. And he was doing this time after time. And this wasn't at Richmond City Jail. This was at Pamunkey Regional Jail. I was, sexually assaulted by, as every inmate is. I think I was probably treated a little worse than the average inmate. But every inmate in that criminal jail cell with those cowards that need to be taken down and taken out, that I was treated slightly worse than the others. But what I will say is that, as God is my witness, these folks are exposed as the worst kind of satanic liars as you can find on the planet. And I'm talking about Kevin Nunnally, who knew the entire time that this was a trumped-up charge. I'm talking about David Hicks, the judge, who I've told beforehand that he better start talking about all the crimes he's involved in since he's been Commonwealth Attorney of the City of Richmond, and most recently the consigliere and the legal advisor to the so-called Mayor Dwight Jones, who's involved in every crime imaginable. But it's just singling these folks out, which I will single all of these folks out. The chief of police, Durham. I was injured when I went to when I was getting ready to check into or being processed in the Richmond City Jail on these trumped up disorderly conduct and obstruction of justice charges. A nurse saw me and ordered me to go to the hospital because I was injured by the Richmond Police Department, by Fred Bates and others. Bruises all over my body. Big gash on my arm.
Yeah.
A seeping, weeping wound that is covered with a bruise that's about, 8 inches by 10 inches. So, head injury too. So basically, I filmed the white and black trash at the Richmond Fire Department, who don't do anything but, if I was driving by my old fraternity house...
They work on their vehicle. They have cookouts. You drive by at any time, you see them not working, but doing something else. Chilling out. Messing
waxing
around.
their car, throwing the football on the fucking, back and forth, just chilling out. It looks like they're hanging out at a freaking fraternity house.
Yeah.
So, except for fraternities don't get paid by taxpayers. And, of course, we have the video Glenn took of their, less than a week after they were using their garage to do maintenance work on their personal vehicles. Glenn films an actual fire, and fire truck number 20 having its hose malfunction. The equipment is malfunctioning, and days before I filmed them doing maintenance work while they're on the job. It's daylight out, and on their personal vehicles, and less than a week later there's an actual fire. Glenn's filming it. I mean, it's still up on YouTube, and their equipment malfunctions.
And they did an investigation without investigating and said everything was okay.
Just to give everyone context for what you're saying is, people have filed formal complaints, and they're covering this up. Who's covering this up? What's their names?
This one would be Christopher Armstrong.
Christopher Armstrong covering stuff up, and Christopher Armstrong is a
lieutenant.
Okay, this is really funny.
What was the captain? I can't remember his name right off.
Okay, well, Christopher Armstrong. When something is filed, and let me tell you something. Not only is Christopher Armstrong a liar, Christopher Armstrong, who is a product of the Richmond City Public Schools, he's the public relations officer of the Richmond Fire Department, and he can't even write in proper English. Okay, this guy can't even use proper English terminology and words. Okay, so we'll move on. And
why don't we get on to the go to the trial. We'll start.
Okay, there were trumped up charges against me. I kept demanding that and I made motions that this case be dismissed, because we have evidence through professional analysis and just what I remember, and what is obvious to everyone, what everyone knows, is that Detective Heiner of the Richmond Police Department and Fred Bates and others, Chief Durham, Kevin Nunnally of the Richmond Commonwealth Attorney's Office, Mike Herring, Judge David Hicks, and even my attorney, Maggie Pitts, they all knew that not only was it an illegal arrest, which Maggie Pitts made a motion that the court refused to hear. The court refused to hear the motion for dismissal for an illegal arrest because obviously we had video of that. But what also happened is that the video of all of these incidents culminating into my abduction by the Department of Homeland Security, my abduction and my unlawful, unconstitutional disarming of my person and stealing of my property, which was, was this camera and the memory card inside, that everyone knew that they were unlawfully holding that it was an illegal arrest, and the Detective Heiner, forensics officer of the Richmond Police Department, and Fred Bates deleted video of Fred Bates beating me up and illegally arresting me. Now, we have video of the illegal arrest, but a lot of the video, that one video, is edited out. So this incident took place with multiple videos. This was videos 146, 147, and then there was 148 and 149. Video 149 is deleted and is now a soundbite that it can only be created by a forensics officer of the government that has the top level of technology. 148 is completely wiped out. According to what we have documented online, there is no video 148. Videos 147 and 146 are edited. There are parts missing. And the way we have proof of that is something called a DSC file, which is a digital still image that is a component of a video. So we have DSC files and we have no corresponding video. So that is proof that this stuff was not only deleted, because there's a video 149 that appears on the memory card that says 149 deleted. There is no 147. It doesn't exist. 146
148 doesn't exist.
Excuse me. Thank you. My apologies. 148 does not exist. 147, we have a DSC file image from video 147 that does not appear in the video, and there are other parts that are clearly edited out. And the same goes with 146. DSC files that are appearing that are not appearing in 146, even though there's corresponding video leading right up to that point. So, again, Kevin Nunnally, Heiner, Hicks, Drew,
I'm holding him personally responsible.
Steve Drew, Fred Bates, all of the agents of the Richmond Police Department that were down in the evidence room. The evidence room held the evidence, lied about the evidence. Kevin Nunnally starts telling my lawyer that after the video camera was released 43 days after I was abducted and it was stolen from me by the police, they said, oh, we've already, Chris Dorsey can come in and get it any time. We go in and get it. We find out that it has not been released. Then an email comes from my lawyer saying that she got an email from Kevin Nunnally saying that I wasn't in there and that no one came in to pick up the camera. The only problem with that is that we videotaped that, and about 2,000 people have already watched me go in there on YouTube. So when this email comes in from Kevin Nunnally saying no one showed up, we went back the next day, and again, the police lie about no one showed up. The same woman that we talked to the day before and have on video camera and that, 2,000 people have seen, we have an additional 500 people seeing her tell us that we weren't in there the day before, even though thousands of people have already seen it on YouTube. So again, they lie. I hadn't done anything wrong. They're still trying to trump up these charges against me. When I go into court the first time, what they're really trying to do is they're trying to get me to pee into a cup and show signs of cannabis, and they're going to try to put me in jail for 5 years because I lawfully carry my firearm around. That's really what they tried to do, that they had planned before any of this stuff went forward with the fire department. So, Kevin Nunnally is a judge said that I had to go into some sort of pretrial and to pee in a cup as soon as I get out of jail. So I didn't do that. And I told my lawyer I wasn't going to do that because I told her I knew what they were doing. And my lawyer, of course, the entire time is saying they have no basis for this because she's seen the video. This is trumped up charges. This is malicious prosecution. She knows that the videos have been edited and deleted. And she also, I guess at this point, knows how crooked the system actually is. So I just ignore all of this, and Kevin Nunnally says that they're not going to prosecute me because they're still holding on to the camera and the video, which shows that I didn't do anything wrong after the first date of the trial. Yeah. So basically, the entire thing's caught on video, but they want to prosecute me for disorderly conduct while still holding on to the video. So basically what they wanted to do was they wanted to say, oh, he was ordered to pretrial, he never showed up, and hold me in jail until they actually decide they're going to prosecute, which could have been 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, a year. So that's what they were going to try to do, and they were going to try to bring more charges against me with the Department of Homeland Security and gun charges and all the martial law bullshit, all the color of law, all of the universal commercial code, all whatever sort of unconstitutional practice they and their bar association, compatriots and co-conspirators have in mind, they were going to try to do to me. And I made a motion that this thing be dismissed right offhand because they were holding on to exculpatory evidence, but that didn't work. So we went in and it was postponed. We went in after we were supposed to be able to get the video back. They still were holding on to it after they said that they were going to agreed with the court ordered, and they agreed to turn over the video camera which contained everything. Then we all watched what was on the video, saw that there was deleted and edited parts, immediately called my attorney. I didn't hear anything back from her for 8 days. I decided that we were going to go and we were going to get a professional to look at it. He found on a surface level search, it looked like nothing had been done, and then he did a more compartmentalized search on the memory card and saw that there's a video completely wiped out and there's a video deleted. And we have documentation of that. The court has documentation of that. Officers of the court have documentation of that. The prosecutor knows about that. And
I did a secondary and confirmed it on my computer, so I found evidence that it's been tampered with, and as it is my chip.
And we have in that computer, in this computer right here, we have the entire search that was done by this company that shows it. It's the entire search is on this, and it's up on YouTube. It's videotaped on YouTube, all of it. The transfer of the files, everything technical is the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. So, of course, I start making motions to the court and contacting the court, contacting the clerk of the court's office in Manchester and the John Marshall Court Building, the official clerk of the court's office, saying, that everybody involved in this case knows that the police tampered with this evidence, destroyed the evidence, that I was abducted by the police, and I videotaped it and put that up on YouTube. So every time I go to court, and I went to court additional times, and each time the judge would deny the motion for dismissal and would grant Kevin Nunnally, who's a compulsive liar and a sociopath, whatever sort of thing that he wanted. Except, I will give David Hicks credit, Kevin Nunnally, tried to get me to go into some sort of drug course for drug addicts or anything like that, because he thought that I might have still had cannabis in my system. And I can tell you, I definitely didn't have cannabis in my system at that point. Not that, it's bad to use. Not that it mattered? Not that it matters, not that it's constitutional, but I didn't. And what I will say is, man, this shit is getting real crazy with these government sociopathic wastes of oxygen like Kevin Nunnally running amok, and these DHS agents that are following me around, popping out of the woods. I mean, this is getting crazy. Just to go back maybe 5 or 6 days before these DHS agents popped out of the street, I was on international television, Press TV, talking about the crisis of the police state and police brutality and the unconstitutional justice system. And then several days later, these DHS agents and Richmond police officers are dragging me off, trying to get me on gun charges on my legally purchased firearm, which I'm lawfully carrying.
Welcome to America.
Welcome to America.
With the K.
I mean,
America with the K.
Okay, we can get into all the esoteric. I'm with you. KA, you know what? Those are the first letters of my serial number for my gun. KAJ73. Guess what? KA, Ka. That's the soul. KA, that's the secret society that I was initiated in to learn all these secrets of these satanic secret societies. Okay? So I know all this stuff. I know these, creeps like, Bates, Fred Bates, who beat me up while his hand's on his gun, thinking about shooting me and my dog, beating me up, trying to intimidate me, trying to stick me in a freaking in a cage, sticking me in a cage. The magistrate involved in this, I don't even remember these people's names, but if you work for the Richmond Magistrate's office, you're a criminal. You're an absolute low-down, degenerate criminal. You really are. So we move forward, and we're about to get this case dismissed. And each time we go into court, there is forensics officers who are involved, like Detective Heiner, who is involved, who actually deleted the video, which is a violation of Virginia law. Virginia statute states that any public official that's engaged in deleting or editing or in any way tampering with electronic video or any sort of electronic evidence, they lose their job. They lose their right to their job. Kevin Nunnally needs to lose his job. Durham needs to lose his job. Heiner needs to lose his job. Fred Bates needs to lose his job. And everybody knows about this. They delete stuff all the time. They tamper with it all the time. And then they investigate themselves, and they found that they've done nothing wrong. We investigated ourselves. This is the mantra of the police. We have investigated ourselves, and we found we did nothing wrong. So they knew that this stuff was deleted. They knew this stuff was tampered with. There is a professional that proves overwhelmingly, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that it's been tampered with. There's something called DSC files, which are still images that are always components of video on this machine, which is a Sony Handycam. A Sony Handycam. We call. I can't even read. It's too dark. But anyway, we've covered. It's this video camera. This one. Everyone knows who knows this case can't dispute. This is the video camera. I have correspondence with Sony describing that the only way for a DSC file to appear on any memory card is if there is video corresponding to it. So we know beyond a shadow of a doubt that they tampered with the evidence. The judge knows about it. The prosecutor knows about it. The police know about it. Detective Heiner, I listened to him before we even go into court. There are two agents of the Department of Homeland Security, two forensics experts, and a woman who is in the video that has been deleted and tampered with and edited by the police. And they are all of them are preparing to tell overt lies. And this is not the first time I've been involved in a court case which there is video evidence of something happening, and that there are multiple individuals preparing and carrying out lies that can be disproved by video evidence. And who are these people preparing to lie in this case? In this obstruction of justice, which obstruction of justice was thrown out, and disorderly conduct case? Two Homeland Security agents. One eyewitness that seems to be Infraguard, probably. Infraguard, or that has been communicating,
or at least
before and after, with an eyewitness seeing them leave with one of the agents of the Department of Homeland Security. One of my eyewitnesses witnessed the eyewitness who just popped up out of nowhere in this video, who lives on 48th or 49th Street. You can see it on the video. And two forensics agents. One being the one in charge was Heiner. He seems to be the one that is most covering this up. He's telling lies to my lawyer about what he's going to say when it's his time to testify in a court. So I told Maggie Pitts and her assistant, both who talked to him, that this guy is lying to them about a case. So this guy is knowingly lying. And I explained to them in detail how this what he's saying happened is impossible. The 149 video that was deleted, it was 1/100th of a second of a blip of a soundbite. So it is impossible to do that with the camera. Because I've experimented it. I've started and stopped this video camera as quickly as I could, and it's the quickest I can get it is 5 times the size of the deleted 149 file. And he's saying, oh, well, that's what happened. So that's a lie, and he knows it. Heiner, you know it. It's impossible. He's saying he has that camera, and that's what he thinks happens. But again, I have video evidence on YouTube that hundreds of people have seen showing that it's impossible for this camera to create a file like 149. It's impossible for that to inadvertently be done using this camera. An electronic soundbite and a file that is I don't know, 1/10 the size of any file that is
small.
It's impossible. This doesn't have the capability of doing that. And that wiping out a video, that's impossible. I've never seen that before. Thousands of videos I've made with Sony Handycams. Never seen it. Contacted Sony themselves. They say that's impossible for this camera to do on its own. It's impossible for me to do it. And what is missing is Fred Bates beating me up, which there are multiple still frames of, which are DSC files, which, again, verified by Sony and verified by anyone who knows anything. Heiner knows this. I know this, and I'm not an expert on the way this thing, the ins and outs of technology, but I do know what a DSC file is. And then I verified that by contacting Sony. And then I made a record and put it on YouTube and took still frames and screenshots of all this. It's proved beyond a shadow of a doubt. The police knew that they had deleted the evidence. They knew that they were going to just abduct me on the street and that they had these plans to try to get me to pee in a cup and have cannabis show up, and then that they were going to work with Department of Homeland Security and the ATF. And this is according to what Fred Bates is telling me, what Sergeant Fleming is telling me, what I'm being told by the magistrate in the Richmond Police Department headquarters on Gray Street. This is according to what they're telling me. This is also according to the plan where Kevin Nunnally, pulls a double-cross trick, saying he's not gonna, try to force me to pee in a cup, and then when the court is in session, he pushes and attempts to do that after lying to my attorney Maggie Pitts, who I am very fond of. But these people are like lying to you all the time, and you're a part of a criminal system too, Maggie. Unfortunately, you're a very nice person, and but it's impossible. They assign 50 cases to all these public defenders, and they don't have time to properly defend anyone. Even though she did as good a job as she could. She worked hard, and she's very smart. But this shit is just bullshit. So all these guys are lying to them. The judge, you don't know which way he's gonna go, and I have evidence that no one's gonna trust. So they start making me offers before the case, saying, "Oh, just plead guilty to the disorderly conduct and pay a fine, pay a small fine, and then that's it. We don't even have to go into a courtroom." And then I go, "No. I'm not going to do that. I will plead guilty to abusive conduct, which I'm told by my legal counsel was because I called an idiot, a fucking dumb-ass piece of shit idiot at the Richmond Fire Department, because I called him an idiot twice to his face. Because he was being an idiot. So that made me plead guilty to abusive language. Evidently, and this guy approached me, and I just got done explaining something very simple to him as I'm trying to file a complaint, because he seems to be in charge of a fire station where they don't do any work but use city taxpayer money to take care of their own personal vehicles inside city property. So that's what I was told I did by my legal counsel, that's what I was pleading guilty to. And I didn't actually plead guilty. I pled no contest because there were 8 government agents there to testify against me, and a judge who is put there by a criminal system who I have confronted for crimes he has committed directly to his face on police property, and who I know well, and I don't trust. I don't trust in any way. So I pled no contest, and when they tried to say that I pled guilty, and then I said, no, I don't plead guilty. I said no contest. And actually Maggie Pitts, said you can plead no contest, because I wasn't going to plead guilty to that. I pled no contest, and I walked out of the freaking courtroom. And it was just me, Nunnally, and Maggie Pitts up in front of a judge. They didn't want to do this in front of anyone. They didn't want to show what was going on. They were trying to hide this. They were trying to intimidate the whole time. I was being tracked by Homeland Security agents. Probably still am. And if if you think this is just nonsense, just do a Google search for Chris Dorsey, Secret Service. Everybody knows this. Everybody knows why this is going on, because I've caught the Richmond police, committing crimes. Glenn and I have confronted them on their crimes. Other people have
numerous
too,
times.
but I probably, do it more vocally than most others, and they can do whatever they want to, and they have no honor, and they'll lie right to your face, and they will threaten you, and they'll intimidate you, and the Richmond police will shoot you down on the street and get away with it.
Or beat you up and throw you in jail, fine you, hold you ransom, and then try you and convict you of calling an idiot twice and fine you $100.
Thanks, Glenn. That's about
That's it in a nutshell.
That's it in a nutshell.
That you can't get it any plainer than what I just said, because that's what happens.
That's what happens.
Virginia orbits 8 feet off the planet at times. I mean, the stuff that happens here, you go, it can't happen here. Where are we? Where are we then? If it can't happen here, why is it happening? Why does this stuff go on? I got video. I go. They do investigations without looking at any evidence,
right?
And then say nothing's wrong, and then you go, well, what about the video? There wasn't any video.
Oh, and
watch the video.
The only way they're talking to Glenn in these instances is it has to be off the record.
Yeah, off the record, because
or they won't talk
Chris,
to him.
Or they just hang up or send me to their recording machines. Like Steve Drew gives me a date. Oh, we'll have a meeting, and okay, voicemail from his personal. Okay, call the office. Voicemail at the office. Yeah. Okay.
See, I mean, that's the kind of people we're dealing with. It's like he will tell somebody something, and this is all the police. Oh yeah, okay, 10:30. Yeah, that sounds good. Tomorrow, 10:30. All right, I'll talk to you tomorrow then. And then they'll lie right to your absolute ever-loving face. So Steve Drew, just a real quick thing. Steve Drew and I, we go way back. We go back to the Occupy movement, and Steve Drew is a dirty,
go back
slippery.
Over 7-8 years.
Okay.
So yeah.
So we know Steve Drew, and when I videotape Steve, I'm like, Steve, you're a liar. He's like, Chris, why would you say that? And my response is easy. It's easy how I know this, because I know you. And I've dealt with you over the years, and a low-down, dirty, shameless liar who will smile in your face is exactly how I would describe you.
A smiletician.
So, again, I mean, this is just to name the names, this video right here. Because anyone who pays any bit of attention to what goes on around you, I mean, if you think there's any bit of justice, I will refer you to Jonathan Arthur and ask him if he thinks there's any justice in the system that he gets paid by. And he says, nope, the system's too corrupt for there to be any justice. But here's the way the system works is, I got videotape today of a public relations officer of the Richmond Police Department. And I named all these folks' names, except for I couldn't come up with Kevin Nunnally for some reason. But again, that's why I'm saying Kevin Nunnally's dirty fucking name over and over again in this video. Kevin Nunnally. You knew you were malicious prosecuting a case where you were going to use as evidence tampered video.
Illegally gained.
You knew it. You knew you were trying to do some dirty tricks. And when he said, oh, we're going to drop all the charges and we're not going to bring back any prosecution, when we got in front of the judge, he tried to null process it. Bullshit. I said, no. Dismiss, asshole. And, like, really, these guys. So, we're going to keep it professional, because, I could get very angry and become even more, use even more cuss words or get my words all jumbled up even more than I have already. But anyways, this stuff is documented. This stuff is not being made up. This stuff is proved beyond a shadow of a doubt. I contacted the court. I contacted in the past the Commonwealth's Attorney's Office about this stuff, and when they're going after me and singling me out, you know, in cases where I've been you know, wronged in a criminal manner through physical assault and abduction, because this has happened multiple times, the Commonwealth's Attorney's Office, they're in on it. The Sheriff's Department's in on it. The Mayor's Office is in on it. City Council's in on it. The Department of Homeland Security is in on it. And again, this, I guess I shouldn't even preface this, but this stuff is all documented on video. This is not something that's being made up. What they say is my crime is calling somebody an idiot. Who is an idiot? The video's up there. It's edited out. There's edited parts out that make it look, you know, a little bit maybe less understandable, you know, that I'm, you know, directly calling out the top ranking officers in the Richmond Fire Department and the Richmond Police Department. That's edited out of these videos. But the videos are up on YouTube. The videos verifying that I'm calling the court, that I'm calling these guys out who are tampering with evidence, and that there's nothing to be done. They can just do whatever they want. The media knows about it. My lawyer knew about it.
Like, everybody knew about it, but they wanted to just shut their eyes like they always do. So, well,
so that's it in a nutshell. But this is not the last you'll hear of this. But it is what happened. They, you know, the intimidation, the Homeland Security agents taking off 4 times for a disorderly conduct charge where they say my crime is calling somebody an idiot while I'm standing on the public sidewalk, and I'm also telling them that I'm watching them waste taxpayer money, and we have video of them working on their
doing it, yeah,
truck, doing it. Thank you. Sorry, Glenn.
You got video of them doing it, and they go, "Oh, well, we don't like it that you got video of us doing that." Well, don't do that.
That was my crime.
Yeah, your crime was you caught them in the act, and they covered it up. And I mean, that's what they gave me in my when I talked to them. They, "Oh, well, we did the investigation. There's nothing wrong with the truck." It's like, did you see the video of the truck? What video? Well, you did the investigation.
And now this is the fire truck that
was in his video, is in front of my front house, not working.
Right. And what I caught them doing,
if it was a problem, I said, I think it is. If it's the same truck and it doesn't work because you're not working on it, I think that's a problem. Yeah. Well. Yeah,
I mean, it seems Young knows that and was intellectualizing synchronicity. So what are the odds, you know, just of what somebody would think of me walking by the fire station, filming them actively working on a personal vehicle in the garage that's designed to maintain the fire trucks. So they're working on a personal vehicle, a truck, a pickup truck.
A pickup truck and truck 20 sitting right next to it.
And days later, after the person who exposed this had their property stolen, including the video of that happening, and their lawfully, you know, maintained firearm, that somebody associated with this individual would videotape during a live fire the same fire truck that wasn't being worked on, that needed to be worked on, malfunctioning.
Yeah, but it's a bit late.
Yeah.
Seems that the odds are pretty low about that, but I mean, again, I've only been a part of several organizations I've been an official member of something called the Kappa Alpha Order, and I've been a part of the Democratic Party. I was an elected official in the Democratic Party. And when I saw either one of those institutions doing something wrong or somebody in them doing something wrong, I didn't hide in a corner. I jumped up and down and said that this wasn't right. So I'm still a member of the Kappa Alpha Order. And I'm no longer a member of the Democratic Party. So, and I'll tell you, there are a bunch of scumbags in the Kappa Alpha Order as well. There are some great men who take their oath and put forward the ideals of the Knights of the Round Table and the Arthurian legend, and then there are just shitbag Judeo-Masonic pieces of garbage like the low-level police officers or the fire agents that we're dealing with who do nothing but fuck around. But I will say one thing: the government is too corrupt, and this is what you get.
Yep.
And there aren't any real gun advocates around. There aren't any civil rights activists around. There were a couple people, and Glenn including, Suzanne Posel, Amanda Williams, Madison Star
Moon, yeah.
Amanda Williams, not the other, not my Amanda Williams, and Carlos Miller, Brett Sanders, the gun advocates didn't do shit. Made some promises that they didn't keep. So I'm gonna call him out by name. Phil Van Cleve. He's a cop. He's a Fed. He's an agent. He's a paid lobbyist, and he is I mean, the gun laws in Virginia are being destroyed. Look at Executive Order number 50. They were trying to get me with that Executive Order number 50. McAuliffe is a real piece of garbage. And, right when they were snapping me up, I think that they were going to try to trump up some shit on me if I wasn't videotaping, shooting me, saying I reached for my gun or something. Because that was right at the time of that Charleston fake shooting, and it was just a little bit before the Virginia fake shooting with the newscasters. They had all sorts of crazy shit planned for me, and you'll never know because they try one thing and they don't publicize what they're going to try too much. But there's no hope. This government, it needs to be demolished. It needs to be decimated, and the real Americans, they need to be, the ones that are governing. And when I say governing, I'm going to say we self-govern, except for the only ones that need to be governed are the ones that don't believe in self-government. They need to be governed. If you don't believe in self-government, then yeah, I'll be paying your mind a visit. I'll be paying your mind a visit because government equals mind control. So if you don't agree with my right to self-govern, I might be governing you because, monarchy is the way to go. Sovereignty is the way to go. Tribalism is the way to go. Regionalism is the way to go. And these secret society, Judeo-Masonic, one world government options, they're not the way to go. So I'll just leave it at that and pass it over.
I think we've covered up what we needed to cover. You said you didn't want to take it too long, so yeah. I think we'll end it there. I think that's a good place to end. We need to go. So,
right.
Thank you and good night.